In part 1, we covered how to actually create this estimate. What I want to do now is talk about a lot of your options you have up here at the top. And a lot of these options you're going to see in other windows as well. For example, when we get to the invoicing, you're going to have a lot of the same options. Let's start under the main tab. The first thing you'll notice is there is a left and right arrow and an option that says Find. If you're looking for an estimate, you can use the left or right arrows to take you backwards or forwards in the estimates. It's not going to take you to invoices or some other part of QuickBooks. It's only going back and forth through the estimates here. If you can't find what you're looking for, just hit the Find option. And now you can search, again, just for estimates. You can search by the customer if you want to look for a particular estimate number. Maybe you have an amount. You can see some of those options here. Once you fill in your criteria, you would hit Find and it would search for you. I'm going to hit Cancel. The next thing you're going to see is an option that says New, and this will give you a new blank estimate. This is really the same exact thing as if you went to the bottom right and you see the button that says Save and New. That's the same option. Next, you're going to have the Save option. If you're working on this and you just don't want to lose any of what you've put in, you can go ahead and just hit Save at this point. There's also a down arrow. That way, if you want to save this as just a regular estimate in QuickBooks, which is the same as hitting the button, you could do that. Or you can save it as a PDF file. Maybe you intend to email this to someone, but you have those choices. If you want to delete this estimate, here's where you delete it. You can also create a copy. Create a copy allows you to create another estimate that might be very similar to this one. Maybe you just need to make a few changes. You could have two, and that way you don't have to retype everything. And then Memorize, we're going to go through this in a later module, but what this actually allows you to do is if you have an estimate or any kind of form, maybe an invoice, then you can go ahead and memorize it, meaning that you can have QuickBooks put this in automatically for you, and then if you need to make some changes, you can do that. You also have the ability to mark this estimate as inactive. Let's say you had a situation where you had a potential customer and you create an estimate for them and then you never hear back. It doesn't hurt just to leave this here, but if you mark it as inactive, it won't show up in your reports. The next thing you can do is you can print this estimate. If you want to preview it to see what it's going to look like, it would look just like this. You can see it's rather plain. It does say estimate at the top. You do have the ability to customize any of your forms, including estimates. We'll do that in a later module. I'll go ahead and hit close here. Under print again, you also have the ability to print an envelope, and this is where Microsoft Word comes in handy. You would actually click here and it would pull up Word and it would have an envelope ready to go that you could print out. And then notice you can also save this as a PDF. Next, you're going to see the email option. You can actually email this estimate, or if you had a batch, you could email the ones that you created and you checked to actually email later. Here's where you attach a file. It could be that you have a bill from a vendor and it's related to this estimate. You could go ahead and attach that here. You could scan it and attach it, and that way you have easy access to it. Let me just mention a couple things right over here. These are all related to estimates, and we haven't quite yet gotten to these yet, but one of the things that happens is after you estimate a job, you'll want to send an invoice to your customer to get paid. If you happen to be here, you can go ahead and create that invoice from here, but chances are you're not going to be on this screen when you're ready to create your invoice. If that's the case, you would just flip back over to your home screen and create your invoice right here. You also can create a sales order and a purchase order, and we're going to get to those in a later module. Just to mention the Start project, Intuit does have a software called Maven Link, and it's more of a project management type software. You can actually try it out for 30 days for free, but after that you would have to pay for it, and this is a great way to just go ahead and test it out and see if you like it. And all of that is under the main tab. You're going to spend most of your time under the main tab However, let's go to formatting and see what's here. Here's where you're going to preview your estimate. We've already seen that. We are going to talk about your templates in a later module, and that's going to be this list right over here. Here's where you can check your spelling. You want to make sure you always check your spelling before you send this out. The line you're clicked on down here, you can actually insert a line above it. You can actually delete the line you clicked on, or if you had a line you wanted to copy, you could do that. And then the custom design has more to do with actually designing your templates. Okay, couple more tabs. Send/ship. This is where you're going to be able to prepare documents using Microsoft Word, and this will allow you to do mail merges. You can see you can create an email. You can prepare a letter. That would just be a Microsoft Word document where it merges some of this information in. And here you can customize estimate letters that are specific for estimating. This tab here is going to allow you to run some reports. You've got some quick reports, transaction history reports, and then you'll see that you can run a report that's an estimate by job, an estimate versus actual, and then an item price list. And the last tab is search. If you really want to search, you could type in some words that you know might be in your estimate there, and then you can search up or down in this estimate, meaning that if it's a really long one and maybe had several hundred lines, you could search up and down, and this is fairly new in this version of QuickBooks. Like I mentioned, you're going to stay under the main tab most of the time, and these options are going to be generic across other forms in QuickBooks as well. That's an overview of how estimates work in QuickBooks. I'm going to go ahead and save and close this at the bottom, and we're going to wrap up this particular video. And one quick thing, all this says is I changed something over in the address for Tom Allen. Do you want to change that permanently in his record? I'm going to say yes, and it will save and close it for me. Now that estimate is done, and we can move on in QuickBooks. Let's go ahead now and move over to the next video, which is going to be invoicing from your estimates, part 1.